She is alive to be a mom to those traumatized little boys. And earlier, I had a chance to speak with Tessa and her mom, Tina Trotter, from Tessa's hospital bed. It was Tessa's very first interview, and here's some of our conversation. Do you have many memories of what happened to you, of that attack?
I have. I remember everything from the attack.
You remember everything. Have you been able to recount all of that to the police?
Right now, I haven't talked to the police about it. I'm supposed to soon.
Can you tell me what you remember from that day?
I remember I just got home from work, and I was going to take my boys to my sister's house. And I could tell he was upset when I got home. And the first thing he did, he just grabbed me by the arm and he just stabbed me right in the back. And I just went straight limp on the floor.
And what happened next?
He picked me up and laid me across his lap. And that's when he just started punching me in the face. And I sat there and just counted, and my boys are right at the front door. And he just started stabbing me again in the sides and in the throat. And that's when I held onto my throat, and I remember my boys are just at the door, and I'm yelling for my Otis to go outside and just yell for 911. And he told him not to go outside.
He told them to stay where he could see, those children could see what was happening.
Yeah, he told them to stay while they're screaming, "Please don't kill Mommy. Please, Daddy. Please, Daddy, stop stabbing Mommy."
What eventually happened after that moment?
He brought me to the kitchen. And that's when he stabbed me a couple more times. I remember he stabbed me the one time right in the throat. That's when I'm just holding on. And he threw me kind of in the floor. And that's when he asked for my phone. And I guess that's when he texted my sister that I was on the way to her house. And he poured gasoline all over the side of my body. And he kept telling me, "You're going to die in this house."
Where were the boys at this point?
I'm guessing the boys at this point, he put them in his trunk already because I didn't see them, but he was still inside, and that's when he lit me on fire first, and he watched me burn. He watched me, and that's when he drew a line of gasoline out of the house, and he lit it on fire.
And he stood and watched?
Yeah, he stood and watched me and kept telling me I was going to die in this house slowly.
Tessa, did you believe at that moment you were going to die right there?
I did. I thought that was it. And the only thing I was thinking about were my boys. What would happen to them?
Do the boys know any of this, what happened after they were taken out of the house and put in the car? Do they know any of these other details?
They knew that he caught me on fire, that he burned my legs. They know that. They saw the burn.
What else have you been able to explain to them? What else have you been able to say to them in the wake of all of this?
Just other than just Mommy's going to get stronger and Mommy will be home.
Have the children asked any questions that you are able to answer or that you aren't able to answer?
No, they haven't. They haven't asked any.
Have they asked where their dad is?
They know. They knew from the straight that he was in jail, and they knew why.
Have they indicated at all that they ever want to see him again?
No, they don't even say his name. They don't even call him Dad. They just say he. Sometimes they do say monster.
They call him a monster.
Yes, they do.
Tessa, do you have any idea what set him off that day?
I have no clue. Like, we've been together 9 years, and he never had any physical abuse towards me, other than like mentally. But I don't know. I know I asked him for a divorce 2 months prior, but I wouldn't have never thought he'd do this.
And he'd never been physically abusive before this unbelievable, unspeakable event.
No, he's never showed any signs, never raised his hand, never did any of that.
Have you had any opportunity or any will at all to speak with him since this happened?
At first, I wanted to know why he did this, but now I don't want to even see him. I don't want to talk to him. He's not part. He's more than dead to me now.
Tina, it's just remarkable to hear what your daughter Tessa has been through, and you are stalwart. I mean, you have been an incredible support to her. How did you find out, and when did you find out what had happened that day?
Well, like she said, we was going to her twin sister's house to visit my granddaughter, and Tessa was supposed to bring the boys. That was the plan, and he knew that. And I went on to her twin sister Tori's house, and me and Tori waited, and we waited, and then Tori got the text saying on the way, and her twin knew there was something wrong, and so we waited about 40 minutes or something like that. And I said, well, I'm going to go down the street. And I pulled up on it. And she was already life flighted.
She had already been life flighted.
Yeah, by the time I got there, yes.
How did you find out the details of what had happened?
Tessa.
Tessa told you herself what had happened?
She told me everything. She remembers everything. Everything from her seeing the knives in his pocket, from her seeing the gasoline, brand new gasoline can on the counter. She told me when I first seen her, when I got to Vanderbilt. She looked at me, she said, "He tried to kill me, Mama. I thought I was going to die." And she continues to tell me she remembers.
You've been by Tessa's bedside since the beginning, and you've been watching her recovery. Seeing you both today is such a surprise because I saw you a few weeks ago, and Tessa was really struggling. But you must be so proud of her recovery.
Yeah, she's remarkable. She's remarkable. We have a lot of family support, not only myself, but her twin, then her older sister and her brother. But she's pushing herself forward. She wants to be home with her boys.
Tina, did you ever have a feeling that her now ex, her estranged husband, could have done anything like this or could have been violent in any way with her? Did you ever have a red flag? Did you see a red flag? Have a sneaking suspicion? Anything?
Never. Never.
Was he ever emotionally abusive with Tessa?
She would tell me stuff, but he would never show it in front of me. He would never, he was a different person in front of us, the family. She always told me he was manipulative, but we never seen it.
So something happened just the other day, and it's certainly a wonderful sign. It's back to school time, and your boys went back to school for their first day, Tessa, and you were able to, quote unquote, accompany them by Zoom. Tell me about the process of basically taking your kids to school via the cell phone.
I loved it. Like, they loved it. I was there for them, and they just loved carrying me around. And it was amazing. Like, I was still there for them for the first day. I was there for support, and they just had a blast with it.
Well, the picture is terrific. I mean, the kids look great, and there you were. You know, even if virtually, you were at least, you're here. You're here with us today. You've survived, and you've survived, and you've recovered remarkably. And I dare say that a lot of this may not have been possible if it were not for two good Samaritans, your neighbor, who rushed in and rescued you, dragged you out of this house. When that coach was on the ground, bleeding with 4 gunshots, police say then that dad stood over him and taunted him, like, I told you I was going to do this. He used different words. The charges are first-degree assault and armed criminal action. I don't know why they're not attempted murder. 43-year-old Daryl Clemens turned himself into the police on Wednesday. Plenty of witnesses here, because the parents actually had to step in and shield the victim while the suspect ran off. The coach, for his part, Shaquille Lattimore, is a dad of 5, surviving and recovering in the hospital. And he is kind enough to join me live from that hospital bed, along with his mom, Sumiko Lattimore. Coach, first of all, thank God you're alive. Thank God you're here with us. Thank you so much for talking to me. How are you doing? Are you okay? How is your recovery?
Well, I'm getting better day by day. First off, I want to thank you for taking my story and just shedding light on my story. I really appreciate it.
Well, we're very appreciative that you're doing this. I mean, especially at this time that you're recovering in the hospital, and your mom is a saint. And I'm thankful that Sumiko is here with you to comfort you and be there for you. Coach, how did this happen? Like, what led up to it? Did you ever expect a beef or no beef about this guy's kid? Did you ever expect he could be this violent?
No, I didn't. I don't know. I mean, it's just, we deal with this pretty much all the time. As far as youth football, parents get mad because their kid's not starting or they're not, whatever the reason, they want to fight or they want to take matters into their own hands. And this time, it just, you put the icing on the cake.
Coach, what led up to this moment? Like, how did it actually unfold right before the shots were fired?
Walked up to him on the talk because we had words prior. As I was trying to talk to him or whatever, he pulled his gun out. When I seen his gun, like I kind of ran away, jumped off the top parking lot onto the grass, and he shot me. He shot me once in my back, and he shot me like 2 or 3 more times while I was on the ground. He told me, you thought this was over. You thought you got you one off. And I mean, I was just in disbelief, like, that he shot me, like, in front of, like, now we not talking about just 9 and 10-year-old kids out there. We talking about 8-year-old kids. You got 7-year-old kids out there. You got 10-year-old kids, 11-year-old kids, 12-year-old kids. So we're not just talking about one group of kids that was out there. We have the rec center that we coach at. We have like I would say maybe 2 7-year-old teams. We got 2 8-year-old teams. We got 2 9-year-old teams. We got 2 10-year-old teams. We got an 11-year-old team. And we got a 12-year-old team. And like I say, I just thank God for, the coaches and parents shielding me, because I really thought he was going to kill me out there. And he shot me while I didn't have a gun, didn't have no weapon. He shot me while I was on the ground, defenseless. And it's like I really can't sleep because it plays back in my head pretty much every day. I break out in cold sweats. It's just, it's a traumatizing event. I will say that, to say the least.
She is a famous singer who has used her social media to honor her sister and to try to get justice. Jordan, thank you for being on tonight. I am so sorry to learn these details. They are so devastating. I can't imagine what it was like for you to learn these details, but I also want to know if you're only just learning these details. Had police never shared this information with you before?
No, we had to get it from the mortuary. The police haven't told us anything.
And that's got to be, so difficult in itself, as there is a killer out there, and not just a killer. There is a brutal murderer out there. I listened to your interview with Nancy Liu, and I wanted to make a certain note about the injuries that you learned of with your sister. 2 broken ankles, but were there other injuries to her hands, arms, and legs? Did she suffer other broken limbs or cuts or bruises? Can you describe what the injuries were?
Head trauma, her whole body damaged, her entire body, from her head to her toes.
To the point where the mortuary said that they had to literally, and I'm quoting, put her back together again?
Yes.
I am so sorry that you and your family are dealing with this. Have the police shared any information about the nature of this killing and what it might say about the killer? Have they asked you for any help in terms of getting them leads to who might have done this?
I'm doing my own investigation at this point. I'm giving them everything that I know, to the point that they're like, just back off, and they're not even answering, They called my mom today, but still, again, nothing. They said they can't let us know anything, so nothing.
And no information about a robbery or any other motive that might have led to this?
Well, we know that her phone and laptop was stolen. And when we went to go get her belongings from her apartment, we noticed that the refrigerator was missing, so that was a part of evidence. And we've noticed that her clothes from her Miami trip was still there, her luggage was there, so we took her luggage and stuff. But her dirty clothes were missing. It was random weird things missing. But what I realized that was most important, what we need, was her iPhone and laptop.
Can I ask you, Jordan, we're showing pictures of your sister. She's just absolutely stunning. I mean, it's obvious why she was a model. You're also stunning and beautiful, and I can't help but notice the resemblance between the two of you. You're very famous as a pop singer. Are you concerned at all? Is there any thought with the police that they might have mistaken her for you, that because you're famous, it might have been a fan who was a dangerous fan?
I don't know. Like, my sister wouldn't harm a fly. Like, she'll run from a fly before she harms it, you know? I don't know. She just was so sweet. Like, I don't understand, you know? It just doesn't make sense. I don't know who would do this.
Jordan, what
Like,
about the pregnancy? Is there any thought that the pregnancy had anything to do with this, given the fact that it was so new? It was maybe even brand new news to the father.
yeah, like, this is something like my sister wanted, you know? She told my mom, like, earlier, like at the end of August, that she missed her period and stuff. Like, she's like excited, giddy about it. And like, they like to break the news to me late, you know? So I didn't know anything about it. And then when her friend guy that she's dealing with called me, he talked to me and my mom, he told me, and her, like, yeah, she was pregnant. We were expecting, and like we were going to go to the doctor and, you know, weigh out our options, but I know that she wanted to keep it. Like, he's devastated, he's heartbroken, but
You know, the police, no matter what, in an incident like that, they will always look first to a boyfriend or a family member. Do you know if they questioned the father of the child?
I don't believe they have questioned him yet either.
Do they know that she was pregnant, the police?
I've given them this information.
And they know who the person is, in case they do want to follow up.
I've given them everything that I know.
Jordan, I'm so incredibly sorry that you have learned this information in this way. I can't imagine what it's like to go through this. My heart goes out to you and your family, as well as the family of Nikki Coates, the other model just a mile away. And I am praying for some resolution for you in this case, and that they catch whoever did this, the monster who did this to your sister. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Jordan Pauline joining us tonight on the murder of her sister, Melissa Mooney. We have access to a stack of audio tapes never before been heard. Interviews between John Wayne Gacy and his defense attorney back in 1980. That attorney was Bob Motta. Bob Motta Jr., that attorney's son, is also a Chicago attorney and a host of a popular podcast and YouTube channel called The Defense Diaries. He's got the trove of the tapes, and he is sharing some of the new ones tonight. I absolutely love it when you're on this show. I don't know what it is about serial killers, but I just can't get enough of what it is that took them so far from the flock. Thank you for coming on tonight. Let's just start with tape number one, Bob. Your dad is asking John Wayne Gacy if he remembers the burial of one of the victims, I think, under the house. Is that about right? Does that set up that tape?
It does. So John Zick was one of his young victims, and this particular clip dips into his disposal of that body, and also talks about the high likelihood that Gacy had help all those years.
All right, let's roll the tape.
You remember covering up Zick's body with dirt? You remember the actual act of...
No, I know I threw him down the basement.
You remember throwing dirt on him? You remember...
No.
Was there a lime put over him? You remember pouring lime?
No. I would think that, Rocky had dug down there before, Rocky had dug down there before Zick died.
For the purpose of tile?
Yeah. I don't know who came up with that idea that it was tile. Because I don't know if it come out in conversation, or if it was because of my uncle asking what we were digging for down there.
Do you think it's possible that the digging was simply to bury people?
Yeah, sure it's possible.
Bob, it's crazy. I mean, it just sounds like he's talking about renovations. It's so matter of fact, and he's talking about repeated burials of bodies. Which brings me to this next clip that I couldn't believe. Gacy actually thought he was going to beat the rap. What was that about?
Yeah, I thought that this was the perfect clip to play tonight on the 30th anniversary of his execution. He actually always thought that he was going to walk out of prison and just live a normal life. And this is a great clip to give you an idea exactly where his mind was at.
I tell you right now, and I can say it with very much satisfaction, that if I get out of here, One, nobody will ever be able to find my identity, and most people will never even hear from me again. I have already, been researching what I intend to do. Money I can make myself. I'll always have a trade because I'm ambidextrous in what I know. I can go to laying bricks, I can lay floor tile, I can go back to cooking again. I could get into numerous things. The only thing that I find that I'm going to have to do is probably stay out of the public limelight, which will be hard. The only way that I'll be able to probably work with hospitals or work with church groups, or don't get into political or law type. That's me.
So the worst thing for him was that he wasn't going to be in politics or, work in hospitals as a clown?
Or the limelight. Yeah, he was as warped as they get. He was as twisted as the human mind can possibly get. And just in terms of the way he thought is really hard for the normal person to kind of wrap their mind around. And this final clip that we're going to play kind of gives us the hope that maybe he felt some remorse at some point towards the end of his killing spree, but really what he felt remorse about was the fact that he got caught.
How did you feel the next morning when you woke up and you found Godsick dead? What was your initial emotional response?
Just to throw him down the crawl space. Get rid of him.
Did you question yourself as to why it was done?
No. Even once you bury somebody, it was already gone. There was no feeling. Because Bob and Hank, for the most part, even like today, I don't believe I killed anybody. But yet I know I did. But insofar as being remorseful or feeling sorry for homosexuals, and even though they were younger than, what they were doing was wrong to begin with. What was trying to transpire was wrong to begin with. The only one I told you has upset me a little bit was the one with Robert Peace.
So why would he be upset about one of his victims, Robert Peace?
At the very end, he was aware that he had this problem. When I say problem, I'm talking about killing young men. And he was really trying to slow down. He was trying to keep himself so busy with work that he didn't have enough time in order to go out in the early morning hours and troll for his victims. And on Rob Peace, he broke his system, and Rob, he snatched him at around 9:30 on a weeknight from Rob Peace's job. So he just broke his MO completely. And his remorse was the fact that he got caught. It had nothing to do with feeling or having this deep regret of what he had done. The guy was just a monster.
And that seems to track with some of the worst, right? They're just so sorry that they get caught, not at all sorry for the horrors they've inflicted on the victims, their families, and the rest of society who, fears this kind of thing. That is why we listen to your podcast and your YouTube channel, folks. Go to Defense Diaries. This stuff is incredible, and you just keep dropping new stuff all the time. Bob Motta, will you come back again? I keep asking, and you keep doing it, but I hope it doesn't change. Before the happy face killer, there was the clown killer with a twisted smile painted onto his face, almost like the Joker. His name was John Wayne Gacy, and as a member of his local Moose Club, he had two characters that he liked to portray, Pogo the Clown and Patches the Clown. He made his own costumes. He applied his own makeup. And he did his own killings. Young men, boys mostly, grand total of 33 murders that they could prove. 26 of them were buried in the crawl space under his Chicago area home. But unlike Keith Jesperson, happy face killer, John Wayne Gacy, the clown killer, didn't get life without parole. He got death, and he was executed in 1994, and it took a lethal injection to rid the world of John Wayne Gacy. But tonight he is speaking from the grave, and I want to bring in Bob Motta for this because he hosts a fascinating podcast called The Defense Diaries, featuring hours and hours of John Wayne Gacy's taped jailhouse interviews, taped by Bob's father, Gacy's trial attorney. So good to have you back, Bob. I look forward to these visits from you. Just our shared fascination. It's twisted, I get it. But listen, it's all of us watching right now, and you and me. We're in this true crime club. I wanted to just quickly get you to set the stage for your first clip that you're going to air. It makes me feel like it's another clip where he just loves to blame the victims. And I'm wondering if you think there's similarities between the happy face killer and Gacy when you go through all of those tapes?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the first clip is actually his last victim, Rob Peast. He was the young man whose mother came to pick him up, and Peast's mom and Gacy passed each other like ships in the night as Rob went out, followed Gacy, and was never seen again. So this is once he gets Rob Peast back to his house, describing exactly how that went for Rob Peast.
All right, let's roll it.
We were discussing some sex. Well, when he put the handcuffs on himself. He put the handcuffs on himself. Okay, I of course expounded further on him getting blown, and he didn't like the idea. And then he was scared that he was going to get killed. I don't know. He said he wanted to go home because he thought someone said he thought that I was going to harm him. So why would you say that? You know, I don't recall exactly what he said.
Again, Bob, it's every time I hear him talk, it's as though it's the victim's own fault. There he was getting all scared I was going to kill him. So what's a guy to do?
That was definitely Gacy's move. And, you know, you would ask about similarities between Jesperson and Gacy. And like many of them, absolute narcissist, smartest guy in the room, him, yeah. Dennis Rader, Gacy, all knew better than everybody in every way, shape, and form. You were privileged to be in their presence. And like you said, I mean, the ability of these guys to be able to blend in, and Gacy more than any of them, in terms of really just ingratiating himself in the public and like inviting people, huge amounts of people to his home for these parties, like hundreds of people walking over his graveyard in his house. I mean, the guy was just the apex predator, unlike any that I've ever seen. And he was terrifying in that sense because he was just so capable of doing it. But
gosh,
so
right. You gave me the chills when you said he invited all these people over to his house and they were walking over this mass grave that was just feet below them. With that as our foundation, set me up for this next clip. I think this one is about 19-year-old John Zick. And I think he disappeared in 1977.
He did. Zick was one of his earlier victims, and interestingly enough, John Zick's vehicle, which we'll hear about in this clip, was actually driven 2 years after John Zick was killed by one of Gacy's cronies, a guy named Mike Rossi. So it's a pretty interesting clip.
All right, let's roll it.
I think that I had met Zick at Chicago and Clark Street or something like that. You know, just cruising around. I would pull up at the light, he nodded to me, I nodded back to him. I pull over to the side, he got in the car. He was looking for money and was interested in getting into having some fun. Very simple. The next morning, Rossi and I drove down in my car and looked for the white Plymouth Satellite with a banged up front fender, which was parked on Clark Street across from the Newberry Theater. There was a television in the trunk, license plates in the trunk, jewelry, women's clothing, wigs. There was stuff in the trunk. I went in the house, and I believe I put the body down in the cross.
It's like, Bob, every time he says something, it's like he's admitting it without ever really admitting it.